Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm breaking down our next matchup for UFC Vegas 113. In this one, we have Neil Magny taking on Yaroslav Amosov. Now, a little background information on Amosov. He was the former Bellator welterweight champion. He's currently 28-1 as a professional, and during his reign in Bellator, not a long title reign. I'll say this: he won the belt in 2021 when he beat Douglas Lima, and then defended it once against Logan Storley. He was during his time at Bellator, which was from 2018 to 2023, considered one of the best welterweights in MMA, one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter, outside of the organization, and was on track to actually getting close to Khabib's record of 29-0, because at the time, after he beat Logan Storley by decision, he was 27-0. That's pretty good. And unfortunately, he lost his title and the only loss in his career to Jason Jackson, who, is pretty good. So not a bad loss whatsoever. Now, if you look at Tapology, he had been inactive from November of 2023 to March of 2025. Now, the reason for this is due to Amosov going into military service for his country of Ukraine to help fight Russia. So, pretty badass. But overall, this is a great debutant for the UFC to have. And I know some of these Bellator guys have not been impressive in their debut, like Patchy Mix, Patricio Pitbull, and Aaron Pico. But Amosov, is a good addition to the roster for sure. And this is the perfect test to take on Neil Magny, who, might I add, is on a 2-fight win streak right now. Both of them finishes against Zalu Zaleski dos Santos and Jake Matthews. Though I heavily dispute the Jake Matthews win due to the bullshit of the referee seemingly stopping the fight, then resuming it. But I've talked about that before. So without further ado, let's break down these two styles and see who I think wins this matchup. Oh man. Give me one moment, if you will. There we go. All right, so starting with Neil Magny. He's basically someone who has really just built his style off consistency. He good range control, is using his length, applying a slow, methodical pressure. I say in terms of Neil Magny's striking, his jab is the centerpiece of his game. He's good at setting up long kicks, good teeps, and a steady combination that just chips away at opponents. Magny is not doesn't overwhelm with a single strike, more of an accumulation of smart decisions, mixing in his striking, going to his clinch work, and cardio-driven persistence. In the clinch, Magny is at his craftiest, using short knees, short elbows, and frames to control and create openings. His style rewards patience and punishes recklessness, and once forcing opponents into pretty much a very uncomfortable pace. Meanwhile, Amosov, he is also a 4-time Sambo champion. His style is fights with a fundamental commitment to wrestling excellence. His takedowns are not merely shots, but more of a multi-layered sequence. It's very similar to Khabib's. Each movement seamlessly changing into the next, and he closes distance in calculated waves. Very good at blending his feints, good with his level changes, very good at hand fighting to get to the hips. And once Amosov secures a leg and or body lock, he excels at finishing his takedowns with authority, whether that's through balance, torque, or just sheer persistence. It's pretty good also at lifting his opponents up and using mat returns. On the ground, Amosov more so prioritizes control over risk, position over submission, uses heavy top pressure, good steady ground and pound, and very good positionally, like I've said. It's that style that where opponents try to build hide and or try and shrimp out to escape, he's right on them, shutting that down immediately and just exhausting his opponent. Everything he does is pretty economical and not much in terms of wasted movement. Looking at how their styles, the first battleground, more or less, is range. Neil Magny's going to probably use his size and reach, which, he is one of the tallest in the division. in at 6'3". But so now Magny's really good at changing up the range of his attacks. When he's striking, he uses, like I said, long frame of his to constantly fire off a jab and uses his kicks. But once he's in the clinch, it's a pretty crafty clinch, like I've said. And it's very similar in line to how I've said tall grapplers, grapple just using their long legs and arms to frame their opponents like a spider. It's essentially like that for Magny. But in this fight, I feel like Magny's gonna probably need space to jab, space to move, and space to keep Amosov force Amosov to reset. His best moments will come in the center of the cage where he can pivot, stick to the jab, and prevent Amosov from lining up entries. And if Magny can maintain this distance early, he can force the fight into a game of patience rather than pressure. But Amosov is exceptional at shrinking space. He doesn't chase as much as corral and good at cage cutting. He uses his feints, small steps, and framing to usher opponents towards the fence. And where his level change become more dangerous, Magny's clinch has historically been strong, but I think Amosov's clinch is built better for wrestling with his constant level changes, good body locks, and mat returns that can steal minutes of control time. Even defending shots turns into prolonged scrambles, and those scrambles I think Amosov does best at. Plus, I think he's going to be vastly stronger than Neil Magny in the clinch. On the feet, I would argue Magny is the cleaner and more diverse striker, but the looming threat of the takedown could mess that up. Now, Magny has a good guard and he is a good grappler, but I think the top pressure of Amosov is just too much in terms of being able to work that good guard of his, because Amosov has a very good top pressure. Plus, also, Neil Magny is not the best submission artist. Now, I know he got a good Darce choke off a tired Jake Matthews, but I don't know if Magny is going to be able to catch Amosov in that type of submission. As I said, on the feet, he's probably going to be more cleaner and has probably more weapons. And Amosov isn't as diverse in his striking. It's more of a means to an end at the very least, but he's got good power in his hands. And like I said, he's physically strong and very good at pressure. The ground, in terms of like just how it is going to be on the mat, I feel like Amosov, like I said, holds a significant advantage. Magny's grappling is solid and his guard is active, but Amosov's top control is just a tier above. He smothers hips, he's good at shutting down escapes, and forces opponents to play defense for long stretches. And Magny can survive on the ground, but surviving is not the same as winning. And I think prolonged sequences on the mat could drain him. Though, I don't know if that's really a possibility, simply because Neil Magny has excellent cardio, because his style isn't built for explosiveness, is more so persistent and high volume, so he's got a really good gas tank. But I think so does Amosov, especially if he's able to control the fight for long portions. And I think over multiple rounds, as the battle could become one of endurance. And like I said, Magny's cardio thrives, but specifically thrives when he's moving freely and dictating tempo. Meanwhile, Amosov's conditioning shines when he can wrestle, grind, and break the rhythm. So if Magny can keep Amosov at the end of his strikes, consistently pivot off angles, and avoid getting pinned to the fence, he can create a competitive technical fight. But the historical trends show that Magny struggles most with chain wrestlers who don't give him space to settle. And shoot, not even the best wrestlers, but very good submission artists can hold him down, like you saw with Gilbert Burns, as a good example. Now, historically speaking, Magny is often pretty good against jacks of all trades. It's specialists who give him most trouble, whether it's like a submission artist like Gilbert Burns or knockout artists like Prates. If the specialists can keep the fight in their world, Magny struggles greatly in that. And so with that, for my official prediction, I got to go with Yaroslav Amosov. I just think, while he is partially a specialist in terms of his wrestling and sambo, I do think he's good, well-rounded. He does have good serviceable striking, at least enough in this fight where I think it's going to serve him great to close the distance. And then once he gets a hold of Magny, I think he's going to throw him around like a rag doll. I really believe in Amosov's strength and wrestling in this one, to where I think he can pick Magny up from the body lock and just continuously either mat return him or do chest to chest pressure and wind up in full mount or side control. Oh, so my official prediction, I'm going with Yaroslav Amosov. I think his wrestling efficiency and just control based approach makes him the steadier persistence in this stylistic matchup. Unless Magny can maintain distance at an elite level for prolonged stretches, I just think Amosov's methodical pressure should allow him to take over round by round. So I'm picking Yaroslav Amosov, and I'm going to pick him via decision in this one. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you like the video, like, subscribe, and comment down below on who you think is going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. Stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see you all next time.